Happy July 1st. So, do you guys know what tomorrow is?
Sunday.
The second.
Give that man a prize. Okay, so tomorrow is July the 2nd, and I believe it was Jefferson who said this day will go down in infamy because that's actually the day that they signed the Declaration of Independence. But yeah, we celebrated on 4th of July, but that's okay. So we can have a 4-day party. The 1st, the 2nd, 3rd, the 4th. Let's go for it. So many of you do know me. I'm Jo Ray Perkins, and I have filed, and I filed actually over a year ago to run for the 4th Congressional District. And I 100% know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I can beat the incumbent, and I do not mention his name.
Oh, thank you.
He whom shall remain unnamed.
Where's Waldo?
But we have a tax, we don't have a tax problem.
Spending.
You all know that. There's a spending problem.
Here, here.
There's a spending problem in this big house, and there's a spending problem in Washington, D.C. When I looked a couple weeks ago at the federal debt, it was $19.950 trillion.
Too much.
Does anybody understand what $1 trillion is?
More than $1 billion.
Way too much money. Let me try to put that into perspective. If I give you $1 million a day to spend, how long before you can spend $1 trillion?
A million days.
Over 2,000 years. That's $1 trillion. The federal government is in debt $19.950 trillion. It's a lot of money. It's not just a Democrat problem. It's an establishment Republican problem as well. You can make a difference. You're here. That's the first step. And I see many of you people at the same rallies. How many of you have run for any type of office whatsoever? Please raise your hands. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That includes being a precinct committee person. Okay? PCPs. Okay? You are an elected person. Talk to your friends. Explain to them what is happening with taxes. Today, for all those people that were on minimum wage, they got a raise.
Good for them.
Good for them. I'm happy for them, except they're not going to get ahead. Why aren't they going to get ahead? Taxes. They're going to go into a higher tax bracket, possibly. Or their hours are going to get cut, which we already know is going to happen. It's already, why do we know? Because it's already happened when they did the wage increase last year. All of our prices are going to go up. Okay? So you guys remember when a cup of coffee was 50 cents at the restaurant? Do you remember that? For 10 cents? I remember 10 cents. Okay? I remember 25 cents. So the last time I got a cup of coffee, not a latte, a cup of coffee was $2.50. That's a hidden tax called inflation. So it's hitting us at all levels. So what can you do? Talk to your friends that are Democrats. But first, find something that you have in common with them. Don't start with what you don't have in common. Get on common ground with them. Once you find out that you have things in common, I'm not talking reaching across the aisle, and I'm not talking about compromising on your values. I'm talking about let's befriend them first. We already know that we've got opposition. But when we find that we've got things in common, then we can find the next thing we have in common. Then we can find the next thing we have in common. Democrats run on emotion first. Most conservatives run on logic first. Logic makes their head spin. I've seen it happen. Okay? Once you've befriended them, now you can start talking about the differences. But they're going to understand, and you're going to understand where they're coming from, and it is so important. The next thing that you can do, we've got to get the people in this building replaced next November, 2018, okay? And if you're not willing to run for a House seat or a Senate seat that's currently occupied by a Democrat, find somebody who is. Talk to the leadership. Talk to Bill Courier. They're out there vetting and working and looking for solid people that are willing to sacrifice their time to make a difference in Oregon. Let me tell you, they don't make very much money. They really do not make, I mean, And I've told Andy Olson, who's my rep, this years ago, Andy, I think you guys need a raise because they really do not make money. It is a sacrifice. So they're not doing it to get wealthy at the state level. But they make such a huge difference in how our lives go. Now, I don't know how many of you can afford to get another $100 a month taken out of your bank account due to higher taxes and higher cost of everything. Taxation is theft. Yes, it is. And so is the higher cost of everything. And I don't know how the Democrats in this building, I don't quite understand how they escape all those increased fees. I haven't quite figured that one out yet.
Exemptions!
So, huh?
They give themselves certain exemptions to
They get exemptions, but they don't get they still have to pay that $2.50. It's probably going to be $3 now for that cup of coffee, as soon as they get the new menus printed. So my whole message is get involved. If you're not a precinct committee person, get involved in your local party, your county party, ask them to appoint you. And then next March, get on the ballot, get elected next May. It's so important that we get involved because you do make a difference. You make a huge difference. Now let me tell you real quickly that I'm going to get off the stage here. When I get to Washington, D.C., and if you don't live in the 4th, who here lives in the 4th Congressional District? 1, 2, thank you. That's what I say. Okay, but you all know people that live in the 4th Congressional District. Let me tell you what that composes of. It's all of Lynn County. Most of Benton County, excluding North Albany, West Dare Village, all of Lane County, all of Douglas County, Curry County, Coos County, and Josephine County, excluding Grants Pass area. So if you know anybody that lives in that area, tell them to get behind me, Jo Ray Perkins, for Congress. My goal when I get to Washington, D.C. is to make sure that every bill that I vote on, number one, is constitutional. In other words, it's what the Congress is supposed to do. And if it's supposed to be a state issue, I'm going to vote no because it needs to be a state issue. It's not a federal issue. We need to shrink the government. Yeah. Number two, I want to see single issue bills. Yeah. No more of this gut and stuff. Like what they're doing right now here in Salem. No more of this gut and stuff. It needs to stop. We don't need to be putting riders like the Johnson Amendment onto some bill that doesn't make sense. So that's the next thing is I will work hard to make sure these are single issue bills and that they're simple to read, not 2,600-page monstrosities. Yes. And the third promise that I make is that the bills have got to be socially and fiscally conservative. We cannot afford the debt at the federal level. We cannot afford the debt that we have at the state level. So I ask you again to get involved, and I ask of you in return to pray for me and to get behind me. That's what I'm asking back. Okay? Very simple. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to our wonderful MC. I'm Jo Ray Perkins, running for Oregon's 4th Congressional District. Have a great day, and God bless America.
All right, website, Jo Ray Perkins for Oregon. Is it number 4?